laughing because of what we got this weekend.
Man.
I have to ask you what you thought about the Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Like, let's start off with Friday.
Okay, so the only good fight that interests me on that card was Teofimo Lopez schooling Barbosa. That was pretty much it. Devin Haney, one of the most boring fights that I've watched in my life. You literally had rounds where they were just looking at each other, not even throwing. It was, I don't know, man. I don't even know. Like, he was talking smack about Ryan, but at least Ryan tried to fight back against Rolly. You know, but everything else was like, man, okay, bro, like, this is a boring fight. We saw Devin Haney run around the whole ring, you know, and then he had the audacity to talk about Ryan. I was like, dude, at least you try to fight, unlike you, who was running the whole night. I don't know, man. I think Ramirez took step aside money because I've never seen Ramirez throw so many little punches in one of his fights.
You think so?
I think he took step aside money, bro. You know, he's an older fighter. He's on his way out. You know what? A couple extra million to let Devin win, you know, and not throw as much as I usually throw on a fight. Let's be honest. When have you seen Ramirez not be busy in a fight other than this one?
I don't know. I just think that Haney just ran a lot, so it's kind of hard to catch someone when someone's running like that, you know?
It's hard, bro, but at the same time, there was times where you saw them, they were right in front of each other, and none of them were throwing nothing at each other. They were just playing a staring contest. Come on now.
I hear you. But, talking about these fights, like, prior to these fights, I thought Barbosa and Ramirez were going to give some good effort. You know, they're going to put an effort to it. You know, it was going to be a war. You know, I thought all these fights were going to be a war. But I don't know. Maybe it's just the level of competition. Maybe it's just that Teofimo is at a different level. Haney's at a different level. You know, say what you want to say about Haney, but Haney, you can't take nothing away from Haney. Haney, he's a smart boxer.
Accomplished a lot. He's accomplished a lot as a young champion. You can't take that away from him. But he's always been a boring fighter.
Yeah.
Now, he set the standard of Shakur Stevens, and now Shakur Stevens is actually more entertaining than Devin Haney from his last performance. And to do that, that's something incredible. Was a boring fighter. Yeah, I can, you know.
No, what were we saying about Shakur?
I was like, Shakur Stevens actually looked more entertaining his last fight than Devin Haney did this fight. And they were both on a bicycle.
Shakur Stevenson against De Los Santos or Haney against Ramirez?
I would say, honestly, Devin's fight was worse than De Los Santos versus Shakur, in my opinion. But again, bro, I could be wrong. You know what I mean? People are always going to have different opinions. In my opinion, I thought Shakur was a little bit more entertaining. There was a little bit more of an engagement in that fight than this Ramirez, Teofimo. Ramirez, Devin Haney. I didn't expect Rolly to win the fight. But he came and he performed the way that he needed to. He did what he was supposed to do. I mean, we saw the same results that happened years ago in a sparring session between them happen in the actual fight.
Yeah. Do you think Ryan Garcia underestimated Rolly?
Yes.
And,
I feel like they were so focused on the Devin Haney rematch that they overlooked Rolly.
what was the difference between Ryan Garcia beating Haney and not being able to beat Rolly? Was it the power that Rolly carries?
Style that Rolando had. It's not your typical boxer.
The power that Ryan Garcia felt?
Rolando's not your typical boxer. Rolando is a very, very, very sketchy boxer. That's the best way to say it. He's unorthodox. So the way he was fighting, Ryan was not expecting Rolando to be like that.
So in other words, Rolando is like a newer version of Mayorga?
Pretty much, that's the way. That's the best way to describe him, man. He's a newer version of Mayorga for sure.
And that power. You've been in the ring with him, right? You've been in the ring with Rolly. What's that power like?
It's a snappy power. I can't take that away from Rolando because just like I've heard him, he's heard me in sparring. You know, that's why his dad doesn't want him to spar me anymore, you know, because we both hurt each other when we're sparring.
Loss. Do you think Ryan Garcia is overrated? Or was it just a bad night?
I don't think it's overrated. I don't think he's overrated. It's boxing. Styles make fights. That's what I tell people. Styles make fights.
So it was just a bad night?
Everybody has a bad night, but not just that. I just don't see him beating Rolando. You know, even Floyd said it in the interview. You know, I'd pay him $200,000 if he could beat Rolly. I said, Ryan said he was supposed to go to jail with Diddy, but I'm not sure if he's going to follow through with that.
Why is that? Why is
no, because he said it. He said it in his own words on his Twitter. He tweeted, if I lose to Rolando, I'll go to jail with Diddy. So I don't know, man.
So are we gonna see this rematch with Haney or what? There must be
I don't know. They need to make it happen regardless. Like, Haney shouldn't take this. I feel like Haney's going to use this as an excuse not to fight Ryan again. So, I mean, that's what they're looking for. They're looking for that excuse. Rolando said, look, they can settle that. They already had it planned. They had their fight plan before they even thought I was going to win or they saw me win. So, I'd say make it happen. There's still money to happen. There's still bad blood in between them. So, why wouldn't it happen?
That match would make a lot of money, more money than the first fight.
Yeah, there's definitely has to be more money than the first fight. But you know why Devin wouldn't take the fight? Because in all reality, Devin knows that he lost that fight. No Austrian or nothing like that. So that's why they're now looking, and they're going to use this as an excuse not to fight Ryan.
What do you think? What do you think when you hear someone say? I've heard a few guys saying that Ryan Garcia is off steroids. That's why he lost. What do you think about those comments?
People do not know. Aspirin is not a steroid that enhances your performance. Aspirin is a steroid that literally just numbs the feeling that you're tired. It makes you more prone to injury because it doesn't let your body, it basically turns off that switch that lets your body know, hey, I'm fatigued, I'm tired, I can't keep going. That's all Aspirin does. It doesn't have no boost, no strength enhancing boost. It does not have no crazy effect that people think that all steroids have. Every steroid works different in a different manner. And Austrian, all it does is an enhancement that literally neutralizes the nerve and the brain connection that tells your body it's tired. That's all it does.
I think Ryan Garcia beats Haney in a rematch. What do you think?
I think Ryan Garcia beats Haney, no doubt, in a rematch. Why do you think they're using all types of excuses now not to make the fight happen?
Haney looked gun shy, right?
Haney was scared, bro. Haney did not want to engage. Haney was more afraid of getting hit with something big than he wanted to engage and try to fight. Like, he hasn't lost his fear of getting hit by something powerful.
Yeah. Let's talk about Canelo's skull.
Okay.
Your thoughts? Canelo's skull. Your thoughts?
It did not live up to what the fight was supposed to. Cinco de Mayo weekend, Canelo, we expected a big fight. It did not happen. And, you know, Skull ran most of the fight. I believe Skull also took step aside money because Skull could have done a Lara. He had the skills to do what Lara did to Canelo. But I believe he took step aside money to let Canelo win and make that fight between Crawford and Canelo happen. Why? Why do you think? Like, this whole thing was already planned by Turk. I believe that's what happened, in my opinion.
Yeah. I think if Skull would have threw more punches, he would have won, just like Lara should have won against Canelo.
And again, people, oh, you're a hater. No, bro, go back and watch the Lara fight. Watch how many rounds he was outboxing Canelo, and they gave the fight to Canelo.
And going back to that Lara fight, Lara wanted a rematch, and Canelo never wanted to give Lara that rematch. So
there's the reason why, bro.
It was a well-deserved rematch that should have happened.
It was definitely a well-deserved rematch. It should have happened, but guess what? Canelo wasn't about to risk that loss. Canelo ain't want that smoke, bro. Canelo's at the point in his career where he's done so much in the sport. He's just trying to make money now and get out.
Did Skull prepare Canelo for Crawford?
Showed Canelo's weaknesses to Crawford. That's what I believe. He didn't prepare Canelo for Crawford. He showed Canelo's weaknesses to Crawford.
So, does Crawford stand a chance?
Crawford is an amazing boxer. We saw how he picked apart Errol Spence. He made Errol Spence look like he did not belong in the ring that day. And we're talking about somebody that has great boxing skills. Now, Canelo has great boxing skills, but people underestimate Crawford. Crawford was a wrestler. They know how to manage weight. They know how to put on weight. They know how to fight in different weights. So if you take that aspect from a wrestler and put it in a boxer, I guarantee you it's going to be a whole different story. You know, I believe Crawford has what it takes to beat Canelo.
Do you think those who don't give Crawford a chance is because of his size?
A lot of people underestimate Crawford because of his size and saw Crawford walking around the same weight as Canelo was. So what's the disadvantage there?
Yeah. What about Top Rank Boxing? Top Rank Boxing. Your thoughts on the co-feature and the main event? Let's start off with Espinosa. Espinosa against Vasquez.
I mean, it was a good fight, entertaining fight, in my opinion. But nothing compared to the main event. You know, the main event was off the chain. You know, I can definitely say Inoue saved Cinco de Mayo weekend.
You know, I gotta say something now that I'm talking to you about Inoue. You know who Inoue reminded me of?
Who?
By hitting the canvas and getting back up and showing that heart and showing the
Tito.
That's right.
Yeah. You know, he demonstrated it. He demonstrated he had it, came back and beat the opponent, not by just beating him or putting him. He dropped him. You know, and he wasn't a cab driver, bro. People were talking about he's a cab driver. No, bro, this guy came to fight, and he was strong, too.
Inoue is my type of fighter. Those are the type of fighters I like because, you know, a lot of guys will criticize someone that falls, but if that fighter can get back up, that's greatness. That's greatness.
Not just get back up, but come back and win the fight. You know what I mean? Win the fight in a explosive manner too. You know, it's not like he just won the fight. Like, oh, this guy just came back up, outpointed the guy. Oh, they robbed him. They can say that. No, he won it convincingly. The reason why I love Inoue is because Inoue has been the only B-side fighter that all his fights from the start of his career until he became champion, because once he became champion and he was able to determine he was going to fight, then it was different. But from the upbringing in his career, Top Rank threw Inoue as the B-side fighter against many opponents. He wasn't supposed to win a lot of his fights, and he ended up knocking them out.
Yeah. I remember when Inoue was going to fight Fulton, I remember everyone I talked to kept saying Fulton's going to win. Fulton's going to win.
Fulton is a boxer, bro, but there's boxers that are good until they get hit with something hard. Once they get hit with something hard, they don't want no business with you in there.
Yeah. And the monster has that kind of power.
That's why they call him the monster, bro. Shoot, at this point, we gotta take that Mexican monster title from David Benavidez and give it to Inoue, man, because Inoue definitely demonstrated that he's still a monster.
Now speaking of Inoue, I heard someone say that Rafael Espinosa should fight the monster Inoue next. Is he ready?
No. I don't think Espinosa has what it takes to stand against Inoue.